It's a cold morning in Mexico City, August 1940. The sound of birds mixes with the hum of an ordinary neighborhood. Inside a modest house, a man sits at his desk, writing. His hair is gray now, his glasses slipping down his nose, his pen moving quickly over the paper. Suddenly, a shadow behind him. A gloved hand rises, and in a moment that will echo through history, Leon Trotsky, the man who helped ignite the Russian Revolution, is struck down by an assassin's blow. But who was Trotsky? How did a young man from a quiet Ukrainian village rise to challenge empires, inspire revolutions, and ultimately become the most dangerous enemy of Joseph Stalin? This is the story of a man who refused to bend. Leon Trotsky was born Lev Davidovich Bronstein on November 7, 1879, in a small Ukrainian village called Yanovka. His family wasn't rich, but they weren't poor either. They were Jewish farmers who valued education and hard work. From an early age, Leon showed something unusual, a restless mind. He devoured books, argued with teachers, and seemed to hunger for a purpose larger than himself. By his late teens, he had found it: revolution. At the time, Russia was ruled by Tsar Nicholas II, a man who believed in divine right and absolute power. For millions of peasants and workers, life was unbearable. And for a young idealist like Trotsky, it was a call to arms. He joined underground Marxist circles, reading Das Kapital by candlelight and printing illegal newspapers on stolen presses. It wasn't long before the police came knocking. Trotsky was arrested and sent to Siberia, the first of many exiles. But exile didn't break him. If anything, it forged him. In the icy isolation of Siberia, he read, wrote, and planned. And when he finally escaped, hidden inside a hay cart, he left behind not just the cold, but also his old name. From then on, Lev Bronstein became Leon Trotsky, borrowing the surname from one of his jailers. Fast forward to 1917, the world is on fire. The First World War has torn Europe apart, and in Russia, the people have had enough. Bread lines stretch for miles, soldiers desert, the Tsar's power collapses, and into this chaos returns Trotsky. After years of exile, speeches, and revolutionary organizing across Europe, he joins forces with Vladimir Lenin and the Bolsheviks, and together they plot to seize power. Trotsky becomes the fiery voice of the revolution, a master orator who can turn a crowd of weary workers into an army of believers. Eyewitnesses said that when Trotsky spoke, his words seemed to burn. In October 1917, the Bolsheviks make their move. The Winter Palace falls. The Tsarist regime crumbles. The red flag rises over Petrograd, and Trotsky, the former exile, the intellectual, the dreamer, stands at the heart of it all. But revolutions don't end when they begin. Russia is plunged into civil war, and Trotsky is given an impossible task: build an army from the chaos. Imagine it, a nation tearing itself apart, starving, freezing, bleeding. Out of this wreckage, Trotsky builds the Red Army. He travels across the vast country by train, sleeping in the same quarters as his soldiers, delivering speeches on open platforms in the snow. His energy seems endless, his charisma magnetic. Under his leadership, the Red Army wins. The Bolsheviks hold power, and for a moment, it looks like Trotsky has achieved everything he dreamed of. But history, as Trotsky himself once said, has no pity for the dreamer. When Lenin dies in 1924, a struggle for power begins. Trotsky, brilliant, eloquent, and proud, stands on one side. On the other, a quiet, calculating bureaucrat named Joseph Stalin. At first, few take Stalin seriously. He's seen as dull, uncharismatic, even mediocre. But Stalin has one great strength: patience. While Trotsky writes essays on revolution and warns about the dangers of dictatorship, Stalin quietly places his allies in key positions. Trotsky, ever the idealist, underestimates him. He believes that the revolution will protect itself, that reason and truth will prevail. They don't. By 1927, Trotsky is expelled from the Communist Party. 2 years later, he's exiled again, first to Kazakhstan, then to Turkey, then Norway, then finally Mexico. From exile, Trotsky continues to write and to fight. He founds the Fourth International, a movement to keep the flame of revolutionary socialism alive. He writes his monumental History of the Russian Revolution and warns the world about the rising terror of Stalin's regime. But the longer he lives, the more isolated he becomes. Stalin sees him as a mortal threat, not because Trotsky still has armies or power, but because he has ideas. Ideas that challenge Stalin's version of communism. By 1940, Trotsky's life is a strange mixture of peace and paranoia. He lives in a walled house in Koryokan, surrounded by guards and friends. Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera are among his visitors. Yet Trotsky knows with a chilling certainty, that Stalin's reach is long. He once said, "You may not be interested in war, but war is interested in you." And in August 1940, war finds him again, not on a battlefield, but at his writing desk. A man named Ramon Mercader, a Spanish communist loyal to Stalin, gains Trotsky's trust under a false identity. On August 20th, he enters Trotsky's study and strikes him in the head with an ice axe. He doesn't die immediately. He fights back, even wrestles his attacker to the ground, shouting for his guards. He dies the next day, at the age of 60. His final words to his wife were, "I feel sure of the victory of the Fourth International. Go forward." Trotsky's legacy is complicated, and that's what makes it powerful. To some, he was a hero of the oppressed, a man of vision and courage. To others, he was an idealist blinded by his own theories, willing to use violence in pursuit of utopia. But what no one can deny is this: Trotsky believed in the power of ideas, in the belief that words, not bullets, could move history. His story is a reminder that revolutions are never just about who wins or loses. They're about what we believe in and how much we're willing to risk it for. Trotsky once wrote, "Life is beautiful. Let the future generations cleanse it of all evil, oppression, and violence, and enjoy it to the full." He never lived to see that future. But perhaps that's the mark of a true revolutionary, to live not for what is, but for what might be.